I said, ooh, what it do? Hey, I said, ooh, what it do? Hey, I said, ooh, what it do? What it do? What it do, Facetteers? It's your boy Marco. Hey, it's your boy Marco. Hey, what it do, man? It's your boy DeMarcus. This is the life of a multifaceted, and for today's episode, one shout out to all my Facetteers. I think I have 3 followers for my podcast, but that's great. We're gonna keep on building. People want to get a chance to go back and replay these episodes and be able to find ways in which they can maybe have some relatability, get to know more about your boy, just feel that they have a space to be able to come to. So I'm super excited because I have a lot of episodes out there, and these are extensive episodes as well. For this episode, I know in my previous ones I talked about going through difficult seasons, ways in which I've, especially at the beginning of the year, in which I had to put myself into a different mind space. But I want to kind of go actually into some of those things now. I know I talked about a big thing for me was weight loss. I don't think I actually got to the point of really explaining about the weight loss. So at the beginning of the year, I knew that I was going to go into like a low carb type of state. And so I've done low carb diets before. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of keto because oftentimes it's strictly high fat and protein, but it's really not pushing you to do any types of like vegetables, fruits, and stuff like that. So um, oftentimes because of like the sugar content that's in a lot of the fruits and types of amounts of carbs that can be in the certain types of vegetables, but I want to go about it a bit different. So I went into like a low carb state for about like a month, and I've done it before. So all these different fasts, all these different diets, like I've done these many different times, and so it allowed myself to be present in this moment. And so when I said low carb, um, that was actually like restricting breads and stuff like that. I did have moments where when it came to like fruit, I was eating that, but that wasn't until like after like probably a couple weeks of me going into the low carb. I can't remember exactly. I have to go back and check, but I know that there were points where I was implementing fruit. But the reason why I did that is because I knew that all this was like natural sugars, and I was still eating like my spring mix, which I still eat that consistently nowadays. And those were like my vegetables and stuff that I was eating. But the biggest thing for low carb is I just knew that I was eating like a lot of sweets. I know that I was eating a lot of breads and stuff. So the biggest thing, I feel like starting off low carb is a great way because it removes a lot of that stuff that's bloating you and a lot of that carbohydrate and glycogen buildup. So I did that. I'll probably say for like a good month of some change. For bread substitute, they have this keto bread by it's Aldi's version. It's a loving keto bread, and that was really a savior for me because I'm someone that loves bread. Like I love bread, and so it obviously don't taste the same as regular bread, and you can really notice a difference. Like if I was trying to make some garlic bread with it, like that stuff's not it for real. But it's decent enough to where I can feel like I'm getting a similar type of result. But if I'm doing like a cheeseburger, hey, I'm locked in. You know what I'm saying? And then I also have my low carb wraps. The low carb wraps though that I have, the Mission brand low carb wraps, bruh, them things don't taste no different. They might even taste better than the regular ones. Now that right there, that is the biggest low carb cheat code that I can give y'all because but they come with like 30 to 33 grams of dietary fiber. So I was just constantly getting fiber. And I'm like, when I think about it now, because I've been on like this, I was doing a fast and stuff last week. That was a big thing in my diet, bro. Like the low carb wraps, I was getting so much dietary fiber with that. Like I'm telling you, them things right there, I can put some steak in it. I can put some bacon. I can even I was doing a lot of turkey bacon, beef bacon. There were times I was putting just fish and eggs in it. Actually, I might do one of those tonight if I still got something in there because man, them low carb wraps, I fell in love with them things. Then I learned how to be able to get creative with it, and man, the bodegas ain't got nothing on them low carb wraps that I be making, bro. But I was doing that, and I think after about like maybe a month or so, I started to figure out ways in which I can incorporate sweets. So I did see like some keto cookies. It was really small cookies that they had at Aldi as well too. And I picked up some of those. And for this moment of me losing weight, I knew that I was going to change the way in which I wanted to do it because I knew from my mind If I go into one of these fad diets, I'm going to fall right off again. So I said for myself, we're going to start off low carb. We're going to get to a point to where we can slowly incorporate certain foods to the point that we're going to really test ourselves to see if we go off the grid of this diet, will we still lose weight or will we gain weight? And that was the challenge for me for real. I said, okay, DeMarcus, you're going to go ahead and we didn't start off with the snake diet for real, but you're going to go ahead and get into this low carb zone and lose this weight. You're going to really test yourself to see if is it do you have to go into this low carb state or can you actually kind of eat some of the similar foods that you like and still lose weight? So then I started incorporating chips. I started incorporating some breads, but I found a balance with it. And so the biggest help for me too was using ChatGPT. I would talk to ChatGPT and tell it throughout the day how much that I plan to eat, what I plan to eat, how much that I was walking, how many steps, what type of workout that I was doing. And that allowed me to be able to calculate what my daily intake was. And that was better than my fitness pal because I'm actually able to go in there specifically and tell it the brand. I can read the nutritional facts off the back and tell it what exactly that I'm putting into it, and it would keep it there for me. So sometimes you have where ChatGPT it thinks that it knows about certain type of brands, but it doesn't. All I would do is just go to the back of the bag or the back of the package and let ChatGPT know that I had that for the day and help it, and it would help me to understand how exactly that would shape my day. And so I would learn more about increasing my water take even more. Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of water, but I had to really almost double it, or I would say do about a time and a half. Like instead of just doing a gallon a day, I had to get to like 140 to 160 plus ounces because of how my body was moving. I needed to get more water in my system. I needed to get more electrolytes. And so, also too, I even learned about the best vitamins for me. The vitamins and supplements that I had was really on point. Like I didn't use again no type of weight loss pills, just strict vitamins that I have. And after I came off that first month of me going low carb, by me constantly having the conversations and keeping it up day to day with ChatGPT, it allowed me to understand how my days would change if I was off the grid a bit. So, as I said, slowly I would incorporate some chips. I may have incorporated a couple slices of bread, but I would notice that my weight was still going down, or I would kind of stay at a level, but it wouldn't impact me any way type of crazy. Why? Because, say, for instance, if I had like something I would do pretty common is I would have a wrap and then I would have like 2 to 3 bags of chips. Now the chips that I would have, I've been doing this, I was doing this for a minute, but I would have these 0.85 ounce chips, these small bags that they would have at the bodega. So I would say to myself, okay, let me do at least 2 to 3 of those a day, or 2 to 4. First, I would start off with 2 to 3. And so right there, that's a bit under 3 ounces of chips. So I'd ask ChatGPT, I would say, how is this actually affecting my diet? The biggest thing too, I keep saying the biggest thing because everything's becoming a bigger thing. A key factor too is I was in a caloric deficit. So by me being in a caloric deficit, obviously there's 3,500 calories in a pound, but I'd be at a deficit day in and day out to where even if I had a day to where I would eat some foods in the sense that would make me a bit bloated, I was so much in a caloric deficit to where when I fleshed that out, I would see that true weight on the scale. So I found ways to ask it like, if I incorporated this into my diet, how would that show up? And it would tell me, hey, your digestion may slow, you may end up being bloated, but by you incorporating all these other proteins, you incorporating all these other vegetables, you drinking so much water, your body won't even really notice that that's in there. And that's what happened. I was also consistent in my workouts because what I would do is at the time I'd been working security. And so before that, I would make sure that I was doing 10K steps plus a day. When I was working security, I was working out before my going to my job. Plus, I'd get freaking 7 to 9K steps on the job. So I'd make sure by the end of the night I'm getting anywhere between 11 to 13,000 steps, inclusive of a workout plus everything that I had been eating. So if I'm doing 1 meal a day, in addition to that, I'm going ahead and either getting my workout done before the job, getting my food ate before the job, or I'm eating on the job, but I'm getting so much walking and stuff done that all I'm doing is just burning all that type of stuff. So I'm already eating in a lower deficit. I'm already eating in a caloric deficit, but then as I'm moving, I'm burning now. So that was a big thing for me. So even before I got into security work, I was already doing low carb and being in a caloric deficit. And once I started implementing foods, I was being consistent on my workouts, and then I was making sure that I had like a high step count per day. But then as I was doing security, I said I'm going to find a strategy. And each and every day when I was working security, people would be like, "Oh yeah, you walking today, ain't you? Yeah, you the security." It's always people would know me for the guy that was walking because I would make sure before that shift was over that I was getting my 10K steps in minimum. And my job was real smooth. Like it ended up being some BS as to why, they had some type of audit or whatever. It was crazy. Like I was lied to. It ended up being BS after a few months. But during my time that I was there, I made it a point to go up and down the steps. I feel like when I was doing that, that's where I was really in my bag because I would eat before I'd go to the job, or I would eat on the job, and your boy was just like, I'm telling you, I was getting so much exercise in. Then eventually I started adding in sweets and pizza and stuff like that. So these are more higher carbs. These are more things that they can really bloat you. But because of the type of work that I was putting in from a physical standpoint, it wasn't really affecting me like that. I got down 32 pounds after going from low carb to eating sugars, high fat, and stuff like that. I still got down like 20 to 32 pounds. I still got down that amount, and I was still eating whatever I wanted, but I was keeping my intake up, or as far as my workouts and everything. But then once the BS happened with that side gig, then I said, okay, we got to kind of change it up. So I'm not probably going to be walking as many steps. I can walk as many steps as I did, but I just had a routine that I would create for myself because I ain't trying to just sit there for 5 hours all day. That was a routine in which to help the time to go by. And so I said, okay, now we may not be doing as many steps, but we still going to make sure we're consistent on our workouts. And we're just going to make sure that we're not eating as much. So I'd have different spurts to where um, I may not, I can't say that. There was a little period of time to where I wasn't eating as much after that, but then I kind of got back into that bag. But then I made sure that whatever I was eating was still in that caloric deficit. So honestly, I had plenty of moments where I've been eating crazy about a month ago, but I was in a caloric deficit and I was consistent in my workouts and my water intake. Having a high water intake helped me to flush out a lot of that stuff. And so, because I had been so consistent with the routine since the beginning of the year, it made it so easy. And what I had to realize though is that for my weight loss, I kept getting down, but if I kept eating the same foods, I was going to keep fluctuating up and down. I would eventually kind of get to a plateau where I was going to keep fluctuating up and down with the water weight. And so, even though I was losing weight, I kept stacking up like high water weight type of days where it's just going to make me have to keep working harder and harder the next day and the next day and next day for me to actually see it on the scale. Like I was losing the weight, but to see it on the scale is going to take me too much time to see it. So I said, you know what? Let me take a step back. And then that's where I went into a fast. So I went into a fast. I did 139 hours on my fast. I'm super proud of. And then now, after coming off of the fast, like I got down all the way to 208 being on the fast. Now, after being off of the fast, I'm fluctuating water weight wise. Like I went all the way up to like I think I fluctuated because of coming off of a fast like that where you're not having food. When you get stuff into your system, it's going to change a lot. But I've been able to keep my weight actually down. So I had a couple of days where I went all the way up to like 220, 222, but now I'm in a range of like 211, 212, and that's just water weight because I'm slowly introducing foods back into my system. And one thing I did mess up on is it wasn't like a crazy bad thing, but I ended up having too much protein too quick after I had ended my fast when I should have did like some broth or something like that. And I felt as if I could do it because it was protein. I just wanted to go to like a strict protein type of diet, but I realized that I may have did that too fast. So it kind of messed with my bowels and stuff for a minute, but now we back into a good zone. So that's a long answer, and I could even have more podcast episodes where I explain more about my weight loss, which I will, and even more videos. But From that time, from the beginning of the year up until now, when I look back, I'm just like, wow. Because during these moments of being consistent and locking in with myself, I've pushed on so many days I didn't even want to get up. I pushed on so many days where it felt like it didn't even make sense for me to push through. And even like the other day, I did a workout. It was actually was it the day? It was the day before yesterday. I went to the gym. I said, man, I don't not even feel like being here. I got in one of my toughest workouts that I've gotten in a minute, and it felt so good because I came into the gym. I got a video I'm gonna post from that where I wasn't hot like at anybody, but I was just like I was so motivated and so inspired because of how I picked myself up to get to the gym. But during that day, I was like, "Man, I don't even feel like doing nothing. I don't feel like coming to the gym." I said, "We're gonna do it." And man, when I pushed through on that workout, I said, "Man, we locked in for real," and that felt good. And so there's probably like some I know I kind of explained about the weight loss from kind of top down, and I did it within like a shorter period of time, but I want to kind of go in more in depth with it, probably like on my YouTube and stuff. But I really gave y'all the whole gist of it. But I'll have my videos and stuff that I'll be releasing, kind of just showing you my mentality and stuff as I went through that process of losing weight. But this is truly legit. Like it's and I know get um lose weight just quick and all that. Like, I mean, technically, if I wasn't eating the carby foods and I was just staying on that low carb, I would have lost this weight a lot quicker. I probably would be down even more. But I knew for myself that I wanted to get to a point to where I could be on low carb, but I was able to shift my mind to going back to eating sweets and carbs because I wanted to show myself that I could still eat that type of stuff and the diet that I was doing or the way in which I was doing a lifestyle change wasn't just one of those just small type of diets. I wanted to prove to myself that we were creating a lifestyle where if we did dabble into that, that wasn't going to knock us off from our progress. And oftentimes people would do a 30-day diet, people would do a 45-day or a 75 hard, but it's specific to that. And when people make adjustments, they fully fall off because not only is their body in shock, but their mind's in shock. But by me continue keeping up with my water intakes and stuff like that, that allowed me to show myself that we can do things in moderation, or if we do splurge for a bit, we can still be in this productive state where it's not going to fully knock us off of our progress. So I wanted to go ahead and get that out the way because that was a big part of some things that I'm proud for myself during this time, and I think that I needed to speak on that even more because of that's been one of the biggest milestones that I've had during this time or during this crazy season. Another thing is I'm actually about to finish reading the book Relentless. Now, if you haven't read Relentless, I think this is a great book, but it's not one of those self-help books. It's more so talking and sharing about the mindsets of greats like Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, even others that they didn't name from like a sports perspective, but talking about how they got it done by any means necessary. The reason why I vibe with Relentless so much is, like I said, it's not self-help where it's telling you what to do. It's literally it's more so a mirror for how I've been thinking, how I've been moving, like how Tim Grover talks about a cleaner. There's so many times that as I'm reading this book where I'm like, wow, like I've already been in that space. Now I can't say that I've gotten to a full cleaner yet. There's still there's still parts of me. I believe it's a let me see. Hold on, make sure I'm saying this right. Closer, cleaner. I'm looking this up because I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Yeah, there's still parts of me that has closer mentality or has closer type of work ethics, but I believe like I'm 80 to 85% there to like full on cleaner because the way in which he's describing their mindsets and how they moving and the way in which he's describing things, I've already had this. I've realized I've already had this mentality in me since a youngin. But now, because of the season I've been in, it's forced me to actually trust in myself and believe in myself to where it's actually being implemented. I've said multiple times, my word for this year has been dauntless. I've actually said that and told myself it was going to be that for the 2 years prior. But last year, when I said my word was going to be dauntless, I didn't really feel like it was going into a dauntless place because I felt as if I was like building that, but I wasn't necessarily there yet. So at the end of the year, I said, you know what, this was my year. This was preparation. This year became dauntless because of the way in which I had to move, the way in which I had to do certain things, the way in which I was able to transition to so many areas of my life. My name and my picture should be right next to dauntless because, and there's people that have obviously, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to say there's people that obviously have done more or whatever. We talking about DeMarcus in this moment because sometimes we can always say like, there's people that have obviously done more. There's people, fuck people. We talking about us right now. My name and my picture should be right next to motherfucking dauntless. And I'm not saying excuse my language because I put in some hellified work spiritually, physically, and everything that I'm telling you right now that people at 29 years old ain't putting the time in. People at 20, people in their 20s, because I've been putting in certain type of work like this over time, but the work that I've been putting in, there's a few that I've seen that have been doing it. There's a few that I'll be tapped in, but man, for us the ones that I be tapping in with, and some of y'all know who y'all is, especially like on the socials and some family, like some of us really be tapped in with each other. We might not be as close, but we really tapped in. But some that I've been really close with, I got even more tapped in with because we're in the same type of space. But there's a lot of folks that y'all can't relate. Y'all ain't in no type of level. Y'all just talking. Y'all ain't about no type of like the ones of us that's really dauntless for real. Boy, boy, boy. So I've gotten through. I got about 30 pages left on Relentless, and that's a big thing too for me too because I've been talking about reading books for a minute, and I ain't actually like read like a full book in probably like a few years. I'm always like a blog person, or I get my stuff from like news articles or like AI reading and all that type of stuff, like real stuff. But sitting down and reading books, I haven't done that for like a long period of time. But that's something that I'm almost finished with as well. I went as I told y'all, man. Yesterday I spent all day doing content stuff. I finally got my YouTube page divvied out. Like it looks so cold, bro. Like now it's just about getting that content going. I got so when I tell you, I got so much content that I recorded from when I took my social media hiatus. Man, I went on a hiatus from social media for months. Wasn't posting nothing. I was still on there on the backgrounds, seeing what was going on. But like, I took a hiatus and I told myself, DeMarcus, we finna record. We finna record it all. Man, I got so many videos from my keloid journey, from my fitness journey. I've accomplished so many things for myself within this period of time. I thought I was gonna be able to go through it all. I'm already on almost 23 minutes, and I've only been able to talk about the weight loss and a couple of other things. Bro, I ain't even talked about like how I feel with my keloids and my skincare. So I'm going to slow it down a bit, and it may make more sense for me to kind of talk about other accomplishments for myself in other videos. But for the ones that I've named, those would be some of the ones that I'm most proud of because those really shaped how all this other stuff came together. And the biggest thing was me being dauntless, me being able to really be firm on my mindset, and me saying, DeMarcus, this is your time. This is the time that you learn how to get it right. This is the time where you take a step back away from things, from going out on dates, from going out and um, going to all these different social things, different types of events. Like this is the time where you minimize a lot of that. You minimize a lot of that, and you really focus on you. And I seen people that was posting their whole journeys, and one day I commend people that was like, that post their journey and showing their updates. And I said, sometimes you got to go off the grid and really lock in because there's oftentimes where that motivation from social media can keep you going, but then you get stuck in this trap of just doing it for social media. When you do it for you and then you upload or you post at your convenience, it changes everything. But if you're someone that's doing it for a brand, that's different. Like if I'm posting for my brand and that's something I'm doing daily is doing workouts or I'm doing like food and stuff daily, cool. But if part of my brand is showing people mashups, I don't need to show somebody every single time that I'm cooking. Hell, I don't even need to show people all the time that that's the same thing. I don't need to show people every single time or all the time. I don't need to show people all the times that I'm cooking. And I don't feel like I have to post every single week. When I was doing my mashups, I was doing that. And once I get back in my financial space, I would do that. But there's times where, because of me taking space off from social media, I had more focus on me actually building my craft versus me feeling like I got to drop a mashup for the week. I was like, okay, like I can actually go ahead and craft up these cookies. I can craft up this low carb tortilla burrito thing that I'm doing, and I can actually make it even more fire. So when I do drop it, it don't feel rushed. It don't feel as if I just did it for the first time. There's a bunch of videos that I did in the past when I was cooking on my food page. I did it for the first time. People are like, hey, that's fire. But to me, I was like, that's cool. Some stuff I did do that was kind of fire, but like we needed to work on that a lot. And then this past year, like that's been something I worked on a whole lot, was my food brand and stuff as well. So my mind is just flowing at 1,000 miles an hour right now. And I've talked through so much stuff that if somebody's listening to this, somebody may feel like, man, DeMarcus, you went in so many different types of directions and talking about some things that you've accomplished for this type of season. But I'm so excited talking about it. I'm so excited talking about it. Where as I create more videos and I create more podcast episodes, and for the people that get a chance to connect with me, you get a chance to really understand the energy that I have. You understand the spirit, and you understand that how I'm moving isn't anything. How I'm moving and showing up isn't necessarily anything different, but it's more defined. It's more fleshed out. Like it's more refined. It's more. Um, I would say it's put together more in a better type of experience. And so, yeah, I'm excited to continue to be able to share more episodes and be able to put a lot more out. Um, After this one right here, this would be eight, I think 8 episodes, maybe it's between 6 to 8 episodes that I'll be able to schedule on my page. So um, this will be dope. Like this is what I'm doing as well too, just like creating more content and just finding ways to speak about my truth and speak about my life. And again, if people want to judge or whatever, like I don't care about that, because this is a space about us being real, raw, and authentic. And I'm not even saying that to like bring any type of just negative energy in here. I want people that come into my page that feel and move in similar ways that I do. I want you to feel as if this is a space where you ain't finna be judged. Because at the end of the day, oftentimes we all as humans, we have points where we judge things, where we judge people. Like you'd be lying if you said that you ain't never judged somebody that you don't. And we all have those moments. But oftentimes as people, we judge the things that we can only see or hear about. But the people that are so critical about everybody else to the core are the ones where we don't even see what they be doing behind closed doors. And that's something for myself as well too. I've had to give myself so much credit as a man for how I move and how I show up and how much work that I put in. Because oftentimes when you see all this content about what men ain't doing, about all the things that people ain't doing in general, people are doing that for clickbait. You can see these people that talk about how religious that they are when they're being performative, because there's so many things I've done from a spiritual standpoint that I ain't even talked about. Things I don't even have to go into depth because I know the work that I put in, and it ain't for the clicks. It's for sharing it with people to help them to be able to level themselves up and feel as if they're actually worth something versus me trying to preach to them and make them feel lower than themselves or trying to belittle them. That's not what this is for. Because as somebody that's been put in that perfectionist category, I'm one person for damn sure that knows how it feels to be in a space where you feel like an outsider. So my platform is to be able to show people how, at being a multifaceted individual, as being a creative, there's so many different depths to your mind. There's so many different lanes in which you may want to go, and there's so much value within you that you're not meant to just be put in one box. And even if you do things that may be different from the norm, if you make your mistakes, or say if you do things that may not necessarily be as spiritually aligned, that don't mean it's the end of the world. That don't mean you're a terrible person. Because a lot of the times those people that are trying to condemn others and trying to point the finger at everybody else and talk about how terrible they are, we don't even see what they do behind closed doors. We only see what the content allows them to talk about. We only see the front facing piece. They could be terrible people behind the scenes. They could be lying. They could be talking about other people. They could be the true definition of what God don't want them to be. But it's easy to be performative when people get a chance to see you face to face when they get a chance to see your content. Here, we're not doing that. So if you get a chance to listen to this far, the life of a multifaceted, I want you to truly understand that you are valued, and this is a space for you to be able to share and feel as if you are somebody just like the next person. Because I know how it felt for me trying to find this level of inner confidence, of self esteem, of happiness. Like, and it's still a continued process, still continued progress, still continued step ladders. But I know for a fact that I'm in control. And even in moments where I did feel I was in control, I wasn't as in control as I am now. So it's your boy DeMarcus. This is Life of a Multifaceted. Make sure you tap in with me on Instagram at that man Marco, on personal page. My full page is at Mashing Up with Marco. Both pages are on TikTok. My YouTube man is the Life of a Multifaceted, or the Multifacets of DeMarcus. I'm sorry. And this is the Life of a Multifaceted man. So please share this. Please comment, review, show some love, send some positive energy. If you want to say something negative, go ahead and say it. If that makes you feel better to get it off your chest, go ahead and say it. But man, I just want this to be a space where people keep it real, raw, and authentic. And hey, people may not ever get to this point of the videos, but I can for a fact say that I was able to get to this length in the episode and be able to share a lot about myself. So even if only one person ever gets to the end of this video or gets to the end of this podcast, or people don't even get past 5 of my videos, I can be able to look back to say, this is where DeMarcus was. I can look back 20 years from now and say, wow, DeMarcus was at this mind state during that time. It's for me. And if I can be able to share my progress or be able to go along this journey with others along the way, that just makes life even more sweet and even more beautiful for me. So it's your boy DeMarcus, Life of a Multifaceted, and we are out of here. Hey.